Hi, and welcome to the Flute Talk podcast, where we talk about all things flute, live here on Patreon. What is Patreon? Patreon is a place for fans like you to come and support creators like us. So why not join us over on Patreon and help us continue to make great content? The Flute Talk podcast is also brought to you by the Flute Center of New York. The Flute Center of New York has the world's largest selection of flutes. If you need to buy a flute or piccolo, the Flute Center of New York has you covered. With our code TFC at checkout, you can try up to 3 to 4 flutes for up to 10 days, have an extended 18-month warranty, and free shipping worldwide. So be sure to go to the website flutes4sale.com. So that's flute4sale.com. flutesforsale.com. Just be sure to use that code TFC for all those perks, and a little bit of that does go our way. Another sponsor is, well, ourselves. We have a store. If you haven't noticed yet, we have a store over at store.theflutechannel.com. We have some shirts and posters and things like that over at Teespring. So you can definitely go there and get some merch, posters, whatever you like that we have. It will be there. You'll probably notice it under our videos. If you're interested, be sure to go to store.theflutechannel.com. That helps us out immensely. So yeah, on with the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Flute Talk podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Amelie.
How's it going, Emily?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, yeah, this is the podcast we do at the last Sunday of every month. And we do that live here on YouTube, and then we put it out on podcast format and stuff. And this is where you can go and answer or ask us questions, rather, and we answer them about anything flute related, or as in this case today, Piccolo related. We're going to talk a little bit about Piccolo. And then if you also have a little bit of flute questions, we can answer some of those at the end.
Yeah.
Let's just roll out that right away. Somebody had a really good question about how could you improve your tone on the piccolo? What are some tips that you know about that you can?
Well, I think it's really, you should practice it the same way you practice your flute.
Yeah, that's a good one,
especially when
for
you
sure.
start, like do long tones, intervals, scales, and you know, all that stuff. Like there are some things that I've noticed with time when I teach people who start the piccolo.
Mm-hmm.
First, very obvious things, but obvious things are very often the best when we learn. Like the piccolo is very light.
Oh yeah, it's ultra light.
It's ultra light. So let's say you're nervous, you're playing an audition, and you start shaking a little bit, like it's gonna move a lot. So like that's the type of thing. The piccolo you have to hold quite well.
Yeah.
Also, I've seen students raise their arms
While playing the piccolo? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they kind of try to keep the same position of the as the flute, but like the flute is a bit bigger, so your arms are going to be a bit further away from your body. But like, tell me if you agree with me, but if you play the piccolo, you're going to want to have your elbows very close from your body.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I play the flute, my elbows are maybe like they're not completely they're not touching my body. My arms are not touching because I'm like this.
Right.
But piccolo, you see? But then I have students who are so used to not having their arms touched, they go like this, and then they're out of balance. So like close to you, you'll have more control.
You can have more stability for sure. Wow. Yeah.
More stability. Because like it's a bit like that trick one of my uncles gave that to me when I was little. We did a little bit of arm wrestling, and he was like, if you keep your elbow closer to you, you'll have more control, and you'll be a little bit stronger, you know? Like I feel with the piccolo, it's kind of that same principle. Keep the arms closer. This way the
more closer than outwards like you would with the flute.
Yeah, because like if you do outwards, then your wrists will be broken.
Yeah, because some aspects of, exactly.
So that I've noticed helps people a lot.
So some aspects of flute playing do adapt to the flute, but in that regard, a couple things.
Yeah, just because it's smaller.
It is.
So
it's one of the smallest.
Like that, it would help.
Yeah.
And then practice long tones and arpeggios and forte and piano, and also articulation.
And also with the tuner as well, too.
Know?
And also with the tuner.
Yeah, because also the tendencies on the notes are not exactly the same on the piccolo. Not every note has the same tendency to be sharp or low or flat. So yeah, That's how I would approach it, you know. So that's the first thing. Also, I've seen students who overblow because you have to have a lot of air speed because it's high and it's small. And sometimes people get confused between air speed and air quantity. You don't need that much air because it's a small instrument, but you need air speed. So air speed, like if you blow in your hand and it's warm, it's low, it's slow. And if you blow fast air, it's going to be cold. So you want that type of air speed. You need a small aperture, like small opening of your lips because this is small. But you don't want to have the mouth closed inside. That's the big thing, even with playing the flute, especially in the high register that I've noticed. People get confused between opening the back of the mouth and the lips. Because sometimes you need to keep the lips closed, like pretty small, but the back of the mouth open as if you had something in your mouth. A bit like when a singer is using their head voice.
Yeah.
So they take the soft palate and lift it. We do the same on the flute.
Right.
So if you use your chest voice, you put your hand on your chest, you sing a low note, it vibrates. And then a high note, la la la, it doesn't vibrate because you're using your head voice. So you just lift the soft palate there. And it's the same thing, la la, but you can do that with a pretty closed mouth in the front. So that would be like the starting kit, I guess. But also don't overcomplicate it in a way like it's simple. And sometimes people who are very intimidated, they do overblow or all that type of stuff because they're like, oh, it must be a lot of effort, and they put too much effort.
What would be like a couple like general tips that you give the flute or the piccolo beginners that you just always go to all the time besides the things you just mentioned, and any other couple little things?
It's pretty much that. Just the fact that it's smaller, it's like the flute but smaller, so everything is a bit smaller. Like,
and even it's like tuning tendencies are shorter. Oh, okay.
You have to support.
So there you go, support.
A lot of support, but not don't put tension in your lips. Really in the belly you want to put the tension.
You can hear the tendencies much more on the piccolo if you don't have support. You know, there is a little bit of liberty with support with when you play on the flute. When you don't support as much, you can hide behind that tone, but on piccolo it's really, like you said, really
you have to support.
It shows. If you don't support, it's just gonna go flat so fast. Or
not even come out,
right? Exactly. Cool.
So that would be the main things that I've noticed are that, you know, like if you have more stability, it's gonna help. So make sure you're in line with yourself.
Aubrey, she was asking, what would be your recommended beginner piccolo off of Amazon? Well, like some of the piccolos we had, if you're just like if you're just curious about it and you have no idea like if you would like it or not, you know, there's a lot of $100, $200, $300 piccolos. There's even a couple in the higher range on Amazon too that you can get if that's your only option. Like Selmer Prelude, Gemeinhardt 1P. Those are piccolos that are reputable. And if you're interested and you know you're actually going to play a little bit more, that's cool. But if you know you really will like the piccolo, go and rent one out. And then if you have that liberty at a music shop, it's very cheap. Try it out for a month or something like that. And then maybe go and get a much better piccolo if that budget is also, like I said, if that's what you can afford. Go to the Flute Center in New York. They can send you a bunch of piccolos anywhere in the world. Use our code TFC, and then you can try them out, you know. And they have the best piccolos and the best instruments there for the flute and piccolo and other alternative wind instruments like alto flute and bass flute and stuff. So
there's some piccolos on Amazon. We have a couple that
there's a couple that are still like available. E-Star, I think those are the ones we really looked at, but they change the names a lot, so I don't know if they still exist or not. Like sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But like I did a little bit of research today with mid-range piccolos there. Like I said, Selmer, Gemeinhardt, those are piccolos that Amazon also sells that are reputable. Like
it's also on Amazon.
Yeah.
I guess a Yamaha, like the basic Yamaha, must not be that expensive.
Yamaha Piccolo?
Yeah,
basic Yamaha Piccolo, I think still over $1,000 at least. And then the one that you have here is $3,000-$4,000, you know, easily.
Oh, at least, because it was that when I bought it a long time ago.
And that's a Yamaha Piccolo, so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
but
wood.
it's pretty like.
Yeah. So
think
it's that's what it is, you know. So you can try all those types of options. Like I said, you might not be, you know, you don't know yet if you like it or not. That's the best way to try it out.
What about
and
that
stuff like
company also? That do they make piccolos? That company we tried one of their flutes.
Oh yeah,
Jean Paul.
Jean Paul. I don't know if
Jean
Jean Paul makes piccolos yet. Yeah.
Because their flute for the price,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was pretty good.
Yeah, we did a very in-depth review about Jean Paul that you can find. I think you can get those almost anywhere on Amazon.
I was
stuff like that.
impressed because
Yeah.
like what $200 or something.
Yeah, and I think it's
Played well, and
played
it's
well.
repairable.
Yeah, it's
So that's
yep,
pretty
exactly.
cool. So I don't know if they make piccolos, but
Yeah, it's something worth to try out for sure. I guess I saw something in the super chat. Thanks, Kent. Kent
thank you,
Aimura
Kent.
gave us $10. That's amazing. That always helps too. You can help us out in so many different ways. You know, go get our products, Musigy, like our sheet music and our book, or even our merch, which you're wearing right now, over at store.theflutechannel.com. A lot of people have been buying stuff this summer, which is cool, including our poster, fingering chart poster. And we're going to add some new products soon, too. But thank you, Kent. That's so amazing. That always helps us tremendously. That goes directly to us. A lot of people from so many different places. Also, leave your questions in the chat if you're joining us live. Like this question here, actually, I think Sally, she has a question about what is the best way to get over hand and wrist cramping? Because I know for Piccolo, you can get more wrist cramping. I used to have wrist cramping because it was such an unusual way of holding the Piccolo when I was first playing.
yeah, you know there are thumb ports for the piccolo
Yes, there
as
are.
well.
Yeah.
So that can be useful. And the whole thing with the rods going backwards, it's actually easier on the piccolo to put the rods a little bit more on top than on the flute.
More forward.
Yeah, like you put your head joint a bit more inwards.
That's the whole rock stro and non-rock stro technique.
And this way it's a bit like, look, it doesn't rock at all.
It's rocking, totally.
And my fingers are long enough to get there because like sometimes when I try to do it with the flute, I get cut in the rods. But that is so small that I can do it.
Yeah, and I know like there's some single rod systems which actually pretty much counter that on flute. Like Sankoi makes a 1-bar solution instead of it's a Brodeur mechanism or something like that. One of those types of mechanisms. Maybe we will have to try it out one day.
Bring it forward a bit
so.
and you don't get stuck because I play with my fingers not very curved. They're
a little
not
flatter,
completely flat, but like
a little oblong. Or
so,
that's
So like if I can't do it and I get stuck.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, maybe if you take a different type of
so like a thumb port or something like that could aid with that as well with your wrist problems. Like wrist problems, I always tend to think that it's because the flute is falling back on you. So,
but it can also be that same thing that I said. If you're used to play the flute and have your arms not touch your body, and then you take the piccolo and you're so used to that feeling that you bring your arms up so they don't touch your body. Then you're breaking your wrist. You're breaking your wrists by bringing your.
Then you're hurting your wrists. Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, like it's not straight. Try to keep your wrists straight with your arm, not in a 90-degree angle or anything. Not more than, I don't know, 30 degrees, I guess. Like it's not.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of amplitude there.
No.
Like you don't want to. Plus, if you're moving your fingers a lot, also wrist problems can come from.
Also,
using your fingers.
Don't do that.
Yeah, side stuff. You don't want to do that. You want things straight. You want your middle finger bone, that goes to be in the middle of your wrist, not like in line with your wrist.
Yeah.
And then, what was I gonna say?
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, if you move your fingers independently from each other, it's way more difficult on the body than if you use your arm rotation.
Yeah, you use way more energy.
If you're a bit more free in your arms, they will assist your fingers.
Yeah,
you'll have way more
and
wrist
less fatigue
issues.
Yeah, and less fatigue.
Sometimes people get pain in their elbow.
Yeah.
Because there's muscles and ligaments working against each other because you try to lift fingers independently and that's not optimal.
Yeah, you want to work with your body and not against it, and finding out those types of things about the arm and the fingers and the wrist and the shoulder and how they all work together.
Because if you rotate your arm, you don't get tired. It's easy to do that.
All right.
Let's say you do a D trill, you just rotate. You don't need to try to lift the finger by itself.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It can just cause.
Like let's say my middle finger becomes a fulcrum point and my other finger just rotates
Yeah.
around it in a way,
Yeah.
you know?
The fulcrum point changes, so that means there's less distribution of pressure, so meaning less
Yeah.
on that actual finger.
Like I rotate more like this, but if I do a F trill, I'll rotate in the other direction a little bit.
Yeah.
It's very tiny. You barely see it.
Mm-hmm.
But with time, when you first unlock that, it's like, oh, you make it a bit bigger. And with time, you just feel free and it's doing it by itself, you know?
Totally.
It's just about that whole thing about independence of finger, I think is not good. And even I've seen people like, oh, making your fingers stronger. You don't need strength to play the flute. It's not, don't think you have to have strong fingers or
No, because
anything like that.
mechanism with professional model flutes, a lot of the models that makers make, how they make them, they make the mechanism light in general, you know.
And even like it's not that. Like how much pressure do you have to put really on the flute?
Yeah.
Like
I would like to do that one day. I'd like to get there's a measuring device that calculates, you know, newtons, I guess, or the force.
Okay.
And you can actually like see how much is actually required. I'll have to do that eventually. That's so cool.
It's more agility than strength, you know, and
it's really agility.
You
totally.
don't like. I don't know why fingers would have to move. Like, would it sound better if my finger moves by itself, or if it like?
Yeah,
it doesn't change anything in the result, but it changes something in how you hurt your body or not, and can continue to play or not. So.
Exactly. I always think of it as the mechanism, the machine, the flute itself. It's been made and perfected. What you really have to perfect is your mind to your fingers and perfect that, so that you can be the other machine that works with the flute, you know. If that works well, then the flute will most likely play well too. I saw another great question here by Samantha, and I think it's something that everybody always thinks, and there's a lot of other great questions too. We'll get to those as well. Samantha wants to know, do you have any suggestions for quickly switching from piccolo to flute, or even worse, piccolo to alto flute, to change or loosen the embouchure while playing, I guess, in an orchestra or in a show or whatever? Yeah, switching around.
Yeah, it's just the size of the hole will be a bit different for me.
Yeah.
Do you feel that too?
That too, yep. I also just like, if I have to switch, I know I have to practice the switching part in those sections a lot before the show, so I can kind of just get a feel of like, oh, there's a change. And usually it doesn't take a lot of time. If you have a little bit of time beforehand, a week or so, do it every day,
I don't
once
find
or
it
twice.
very difficult to switch during a piece, but I tend to, what I find the most difficult personally is the arms.
Yeah.
Like I'm here and then I take my flute and it's there.
I can feel it
more than
everywhere.
the
Yeah, it's
embouchure.
true. Yeah, and I don't feel it in the embouchure. You're right. Yeah, I wouldn't feel it in the embouchure as much. When I think about it now, I really feel it in the shoulders and in the arms.
Yeah,
That's
it's
where
like
I feel it.
holding the instrument is so different.
Yeah.
So I have to just make a memory of each, the way I do it. I kind of make a memory of the physical feeling of holding each one. And like the alto is also different because it's like with the curved head joint, it's the way
visualizing,
it balances.
Yeah.
And then when it's inside, it's faster to just recreate that feeling
Sure.
fast, you know? It's really about like remembering what it feels like and going back to that feeling fast, you know? I think for myself. And then the rest, you know, support and embouchure, like that whole thing.
The whole thing.
Maybe just play and okay, that's how that feels.
Yeah.
Then you take the other one. And then after that, try to feel it before you take the instrument.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that could, you know, just to internalize that feeling so it's fast when you switch.
Right. There's a really good book about that, the Inner Game of Tennis. It's all about visualization, your position, all those types of things like that. That really does help if you apply that to your music playing, if you're switching around instruments and stuff.
Sometimes mirrors help, like switch with your mirror.
Yeah.
This way you'll also see yourself in another, you know, you'll see yourself instead of just feeling it.
Again, like be confident. You're in that seat because you can play those instruments. You can switch them around. You can do those things. So visualize yourself. You know, if you feel like there's something wrong with your lips, like I said, while you're playing in particular, maybe just after the gig or whatever, practice, like you said, practice in front of a mirror, see what's going on, see what's happening, kind of spend that practice time really internalizing what's going on. That's what practice is for. It's
Yeah.
internalize, not just playing techniques and scales, but seeing what you're doing, see what you can change to feel better,
Yeah.
and all those things.
And also sometimes if you have a bad sound day, it happens.
Oh yeah, and
You
like
don't have to overthink everything in a way, because like I've had bad sound days. Like now I have less of them,
uh-huh,
but I would say the first 15 years I played the flute,
sure.
probably I had days where like, did I
Yeah,
forget
right. Yeah,
my thing in the flute, the thing to clean it.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah, for
what is
sure.
happening? And like at one point,
Totally.
it gets, you don't get them as much, or even a bad sound day still sounds pretty good.
Also, like, exactly, that's what I was going to like. Here's an insider secret: is that when you're playing in an orchestra, playing stuff like that, nobody knows you're having a bad tone day but yourself. Like, and also, I maybe had 5 times in my hands that the conductor actually said something directly to me to change that was not good, like really not good. So 5 times out of the hundreds and hundreds of times you play, it's
Because we
so
tend to
rare.
be more difficult on ourselves than others
Exactly.
are.
Yeah. And people, they're all just trying to do the same thing, or they're all everyone feels the same. Everyone feels almost like that in the whole group. So even the
Because
conductor.
like it's a good thing to practice in front of a mirror once in a while, look at yourself, but I would say the reason why I have less bad tone days is now I have a lot of tools,
Mhm.
and then I can be like, okay, it doesn't sound good. Is it because my upper lip is too forward? Is it because I'm not supporting? Is it because I'm not opening enough inside? So then I take care of it super fast,
Totally.
because I have the reflex of my checklist kind
Yeah.
of, so it goes fast. When I was younger, I was just, it doesn't sound good. Why?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And at one point I met a teacher who was very clear about how to make things. And then
Sure.
because I knew how, if it didn't sound good, I knew also how to correct it.
Right.
So that's the whole thing with not explaining enough sometimes. Yeah.
Thanks, Odyssey of Ascension, for $100 in the super chat. That always helps us out a lot.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. We love your support. It's amazing.
And we love you.
And we love you as well. It's true. Lena Flute has a great question. It goes to a little bit about ear health. Do you recommend using earplugs when playing the piccolo? I would sometimes. I would keep it in the ear that's
The right ear.
support. And also, I know on Instagram there was a lady talking about ear health in general for musicians in general, and I think more and more people should, especially for piccolo, but put there's in orchestra, you notice sometimes there's these plastic plates in front of the trumpets or in front of different instruments. Those are for blocking sound. That's for protecting everybody else's hearing, because people have done research on the decibels that are happening within an hour of orchestral music, and it's as loud as a concert. If you're in the middle of the orchestra, you're pretty much getting the same amount of damage
the flutists.
in a thing like that. In the flute and the piccolo, any of those instruments, you're getting damage, irreversible damage most of the time. And these things are really helpful. So I would say, like, some instrumentals, including some piccolo players, do carry a stand with that plastic divider, so themselves, if the orchestra doesn't have those, and keeps them separated so that you're not blowing into the second violins. Because most of the time when you're in a piccolo chair, you're right beside, a few feet away from a violinist, right behind a trombone player or a French horn player, and they're all getting that loud sound, and it helps,
I remember
put that there.
When I was in university, I was playing the piccolo in the orchestra for an opera at one point, and they changed the positioning of the musicians a little bit because of the way the opera was going, the whole scene, the way they were
The scene.
doing the scenes. And so I had the solo trumpet just behind my head, like very close by. And when he had the solos and stuff, so painful.
Oh, yeah.
Like that should not
Be
even
allowed.
be allowed.
No, it shouldn't be.
Like,
yeah.
why was that trumpet player destroying my ears every week at rehearsal? Like that is...
Yeah,
we
it's
have
grossly
to respect
irresponsible.
our
Yeah,
ears.
grossly irresponsible, to be honest. Like, especially for that player as well. They should know about ear health and about
Not
those
the
types of
player,
things.
the professors.
And the professor too. It should be
Because,
everyone.
like,
It should be everyone.
No student will be like, hey, can you put most people will be a bit shy, or...
But it's changing. Like I said, on
It's
Instagram, like,
changing.
people are talking about that. I think people need to talk about that way more. And I know it does when you're practice with an earplug is what I'm saying, if you can, so you can identify how much you're playing out loud. Also record yourself so you can see is there a change between when you play with the piccolo with an earplug inside or not? So you can really
It's a
start
bit difficult at first to play
It
with
is.
an earplug.
That's what I'm saying. You have
But
to
when
get
you
used
have
to it.
only one, it's a bit easier than two.
Of course,
Two, it's
sure.
like it resonates in the head.
Yeah, I can.
And you can have some made for you.
Yep, there's custom ones. There's also
that are pretty good. But still, when you put both, it still gets that feeling of you're inside your like things.
I know there's those musician ones you have, and those are good on Amazon that you got.
I bought some that it's like an MIT technology,
MIT
or something like that.
Yeah, professors or students. Made it there.
And I thought,
Eros, I think.
well, maybe I'll try that instead of because I had some made for myself and I forgot them somewhere. Like,
okay. Yeah, you can lose it. Yeah, it happens. They're so tiny.
I paid a lot of money and I lost them. And then I got those ones and they're very good. And
I'll have to leave a link in the description for those. Yeah.
Yeah. So the price is more reasonable.
Yeah. It's like $50 or $60, but it's really worth it.
Yeah. And you can wear them for a while.
Yeah, and they're washable and they give a lot of extra earplug inserts so you don't want to wear them out. But they last a long, long time. Yeah. And they work super well.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting more like, I guess maybe now in the same university where I went, they probably have those plexiglass and they're more careful
but I know people,
with that stuff.
I hope so. Yep.
20 years ago, maybe.
But I've heard horror stories too. Like some people who have those, like, for instance, trumpet players, when they see them, they would remove them and then blow as hard as they can and hurt people's ears. Like they don't care about those things. So I think we need to continually tell people like, no, like you gotta really treat your ears as very precious.
People don't realize that ears don't repair themselves. No. So sometimes I tell students, like, if you get a punch in the face, you'll be like, oh, it's so violent. And you'll get let's say a black eye. And then in a week, I don't know how long it takes a black eye to heal, but it's going to heal probably. But someone makes a big noise in your ears.
Yeah, you can't see the damage.
You don't see the damage. So you're like, oh, it's not that violent, but it's very violent because like they're destroying your body and it's not going to repair.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, how is it less violent in a way? You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, don't destroy my ears.
Yeah, please.
But it's tough as a musician.
Yeah, but practice with them. Like I know in marching band, I wore earplugs all the time, both ears when marching, because it was marching band's even louder than an orchestra. Even though you're outside, you're in this cone of music and the noise that it's completely okay. Like there's no faux pas about it. It's about saving your ears. And
a lot of band directors
I knew band directors that went deaf because they never wore earplugs.
And some people, like I know some band directors who speak very loud.
Oh yeah, because
I'm like, of course, she doesn't hear anything, so she talks super loud. Like
exactly. And the metronome is they have these metronomes that make loud
they're angry.
clicks.
They're not angry. They're deaf.
They're deaf. So
she's not shouting because she's angry. She's just deaf. She doesn't hear herself. Yeah, we have to be more careful with our ears.
Because you can do a lot. You can still do all the subtleties and everything that you want to do with the earplugs on. It's completely possible. Like, we just have to adapt,
Yeah.
So.
And like you said, we're kind of lucky with the flute because if you put it in your right ear, you're pretty okay. And also practice in a room that has, like, in this room, we have those cancellation...
we have some panels that cancel some stuff and things are padded.
Because I've noticed once I wanted to practice in another room, like I was in a place where I took out my flute. It's a big room, no cancel. Like it was so painful because the room was way noisier. I just stopped practicing there. Yeah. So maybe also those types of things can help.
Maybe, yeah,
it's
exactly.
Not amplifying your sound on top of that.
Yeah. Lena, she says she puts cotton in her ears. Yeah, anything that can do that can really help. And she says also the third when it goes above the third register, they can really feel it. But I mean, like, it's not just about highness. It's also just about volume. If you're playing in an orchestra, if you're playing by yourself, obviously it's a little bit different. But when you're with an orchestra, it gets so loud that it's damaging considerably.
And it's the amount of time too. Like it's not really dangerous if it's like... maybe 30 minutes, but if it's 5 hours...
You mean 30 seconds, because really there's a whole thing about that with that. After 10, 15 minutes of exposure of those types of loud things, it's just starting to damage your ears. Like but it
depends. Like I remember learning that at 90 decibels, 8 hours of 90 decibels, you get damage. And then every time you add 5 decibels, you divide by 2. So
That's what I'm saying. Like,
95 decibels,
Yeah.
it's 4 hours. But like, let's say you go to a rock concert, in reality, you should leave after 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Or
because it's so loud that
but
you
an
get
orchestra
damage.
is as loud as that, so that's the big
And we
issue.
rehearse for 5 hours.
And then we
know,
play
the
3,
concert.
and then we play the
It's
2-hour
insane.
concerts. Yeah, so we see, and it's long term. Like we may not hear the damage at that point, but it's when you hear that E sound, that's a frequency dying. That's one of those membranes that can register those types of frequencies going away forever. So you want less of those, you know, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully that helps. Like I hope people can consider their ear health a lot more nowadays, because I knew a lot of people that didn't, and they are not like you said. They talk loudly. Francis wants to know, how much do you play the shakuhachi? Well, we just got it, or we got it a while ago, but we haven't dived into it yet.
You're pretty good at getting
okay
sounds
at it.
out.
Yeah.
I'm not so good yet.
Yeah, we will be making a video eventually about it. We got this shakuhachi from a maker in the United States. I think I can't remember the name, but it's made of a plastic, but it's quite well done.
It's beautiful.
It's very nice. Yeah, it's worth
I like
it.
the new.
Yeah, we got the new setup here in the back.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed it, we put up a lot of the flutes that we already have, and we're getting some more, which is always super fun. But yeah, I really we're gonna be doing a series on each of them this year, and it'll be fun. We got some dizzy flutes, we got some whistles, we got Baroque flute, we have whistles again, like I said, and Bansuri flutes as well. And some recorders, because we're
That's
gonna
cool.
see, and we'll mention all the makers during those videos and stuff like that, and where we got them. But they're all really great. We're really, really lucky to have all those things. But I've never heard of a bell shakuhachi. I'll have to check that out. I'm sure it's probably amazing. It's probably
Is
one
it
of those handmade ones.
shakuhachi or shaku?
Oh, I mispronounce it probably. Shakuhachi. I mispronounce it.
Yeah,
but
then I don't remember how to pronounce it.
Shakuhachi.
No.
Shakuhachi.
Shaku.
Shakuhachi, maybe.
No, shakuhachi.
Let us know. We'll have to check on Google.
Shakuhachi.
Yeah, maybe it's something like that.
Shakuhachi. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, switching instruments, that's really quite something. I'd rather, like, if I had a real choice, I'd probably want to switch between like flute and alto flute in the orchestra, or flute and bass flute. Like piccolo can be quite intimidating sometimes. I remember switching sometimes with some pieces that are just like, you're playing something super fast on the flute, and then you gotta play something super fast on the piccolo, and then go back and forth. It's only when I really want to, when there's like some music that are just like, single quarter notes, or, like really like 2D stuff all the time, then I like to have both, because then I can switch back and kind of play easily. But when it gets when it gets fast, you gotta really have a mindset and preparation for those things to switch back and forth. Yeah, but I like alto flute a lot.
Sometimes also it's like the support doesn't come from the same exact place in your body. Like it's not the same muscles in the belly that will push the air. So like that's also something to be aware of when you do the switch.
Yeah. Francis says shakuhachi.
Shakuhachi, that's what I thought.
Well, there you go. All right. Sounds good.
But I was confused after a while.
Yeah.
I was hearing different things.
CCK wants to know, is the fife harder to play than the piccolo/flute? How does it compare sound-wise? Well, we're going to do a video about like tin whistles and fifes. I think tin whistles and fifes, they're interchangeable. If not, I forget. Like fife is a sideways. Oh, fife is sideways. We have a fife somewhere, but I don't know if we have like a good fife. We have a Yamaha fife.
I think it's a little plastic one. Is it
Yeah,
possible?
plastic. Yeah, we have a little plastic fife, but I'd like to get a better one if we can. So that'd be cool. But again, we're gonna do videos with tonalities and change, and see if you can hear the difference between the two. What those things are gonna be like.
I'm sure we can hear the difference.
Yeah, I'm sure we can. But I mean, like sometimes it might not. You never know, because it's like that. But fife is really fun,
But I'm sure it's fun to hear the difference for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But fife. Obviously, it's more limited with notes.
It's like the little instrument that they played
in pipe bands. Yeah, in pipe bands
yeah.
and stuff like that, like army bands and stuff.
Yeah.
But and also it's not chromatic, so maybe the person had to have different types of fifes in different keys, because like a piccolo is chromatic, so you can have all the notes as opposed to a fife. Unless it's like a mechanical fife that's built differently. I have no idea. I have to really research about fifes. Fifes are at the low on my list, unfortunately, but I'll bring them back up to understand a little bit more about that. What do we got here? We got a couple more questions, and then I think we'll call it for this month's podcast. But yeah, what would you? I was wondering, like, what would be your? I know that's like your piccolo, but have you tried other piccolos that you were always like, I want to have this piccolo?
Oh my god.
That's just a question for me.
No, I know I used to, but they don't make them anymore. But I remember trying, what was it? I forgot. I know someone who has one, but I can't just call her now.
No, okay, yeah. On the line we have, yeah. So.
But I tried a hammock once.
Hammocks, yeah,
good.
hammocks.
And the other thing that I don't remember, it was pretty good too.
Yeah. I know there's head joints too. People do interchangeable head joints with their main body of their piccolo, just like what they do with the flute. I know there's a couple.
Personally, when I chose this one, I just wanted a good. How would I say that? Like that you can rely on, reliable piccolo. Because like really, I know like there's some piccolos that sound better, but you also want it to be just reliable, that if you want to play the high B, it's going to come out,
Exactly.
So, yeah. I remember one of my teachers, he had a Powell one that sounded pretty good because he lended it to me, because before this piccolo, I had a very unreliable piccolo, and he was like, I think it's your piccolo that makes it impossible for you to play this. And yeah, with this piccolo, it was easier.
Exactly. Yeah. What else do we got here? So also, just before we finish
someone
off,
else gave on the super chat.
Yeah, someone did. Jeff, I think. That's amazing, Jeff. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I think it was like 10 euros. Oh, 11 euros. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Euros. I think your first one of our first euro donors. Yeah. That's pretty cool. It's amazing. That all helps us directly, and other ways you can help if you can't help us out that way is, like I said, through Musigy, or you can buy our beginner book. Our intermediate book is coming out soon. We're working very hard on that. Also, you can go on our Patreon and help us every month if you can, on patreon.com/theflute channel. There you can donate as little as $2 a month, and that goes directly to us as well to help us make more videos, make more projects, make more collaborations, all those types of things. And also, if you want to buy some of our shirts and t-shirts and stuff like that, please go to store.theflutechannel.com, and you can find all of our merch there too. Yeah, I saw CCK also donated $10 to the live stream. Thanks, everybody. You guys are all amazing people for doing that, and it helps so much because that's how it is with making stuff online, and you guys are funneling right directly to us, and that helps us tremendously. I don't see any other questions right now, but if you have one, just drop one really quickly, and then we will finish for today. But like I said, we do this at the last Sunday of every month, and you can join us here live on YouTube, or if you're listening on the podcast, go and subscribe to us on any of the podcast place, anywhere where you listen to podcasts. Also, be sure to leave a 5-star review or a review over at Apple Podcasts. Those help us out tremendously as well. You can be anywhere in the world. Go and leave it in your country's Apple Podcast, forum, and we'll be sure to read some of them, because I know some people have left some in the past, and that's amazing, from all over the place, and that's really cool. So that helps us out tremendously with the whole algorithm of Apple Podcasts and stuff like that.
And if people want lessons, but like
lessons right now, the studio is quite full right now. We've been very lucky that a lot of students for the summer, but there'll be probably a little bit less during the school year, when the school year comes back and everybody's back to work and all those things. Might be a little less, and we'll try to leave some openings, but right now the studio is full. But good problems to have. But like I said, if you want to have
But like you can
yeah.
always contact us because
You can always
sometimes we
contact us
make
too.
an
Yeah,
opening. So
yeah.
if
You never
want
know.
lessons,
We have a waiting
just
list and stuff like that. It's
email
true.
us, and when we have a little time,
Exactly. Or also, like, we're going to release a video out, I think, hopefully today or tomorrow. We'll release a video about you reviewing a couple students' 30-second videos and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's going to be pretty cool. So if you have a 30-second little clip of something, and we do that, we're going to try to do that at least once a month. Go and leave that over on our Instagram. A little 30-second thing, direct message us there with a little snippet, or email us at info@theflutechannel.com with a link from YouTube as well if you have a link that you want us to look at of you playing, and we'll try to put you in one of the videos. Let's do one or two more questions. I saw one here. The flute girl, she wants to know what made you decide to play the flute. That hasn't been asked in a long time. That's a very good one.
well, I just there was a music program at my high school, but I didn't know it, so I was placed in another group, and then I asked to move, but the school year had already begun. So the teacher said you can play the flute or the oboe, and I had seen a movie with the flute. I don't know, but I had seen a movie with a flutist in it, and I thought it was beautiful, basically. So, yeah, I was playing the piano before that, but then I realized the flute was a good instrument for me.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
What made you choose the flute?
I couldn't play on a trumpet mouthpiece, so I had to play the flute. So I couldn't buzz. So I was like, oh, what else can we play in 4th or 5th grade? And then stuck with flute the whole time, pretty much. Yeah, that was it.
Yes, sometimes some instruments are meant
some
for
instruments,
us.
yeah.
You know, I remember my high
Because
school
I like music in general. So
flute teacher. He was like, that instrument is just a good fit for you. You know?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's see. Oh, here's a good one. Do you think the alto flute can hold its own sound wise in a band setting? There's being more stuff written for alto flute in wind ensembles and stuff. There's a lot of, like, I know there's a Tokyo
band
wind
like
ensemble
a band like a rock band or
no, like a wind band.
Wind band.
Yeah, wind band.
Oh, it's rare, huh? To have a
Or
alto flute
maybe
and wind band?
maybe you mean a band, and maybe let us know if you mean like a rock band or like wind ensemble.
Like
or
I've heard a concert of Bebel Gilberto. You know,
Okay.
she does the samba and stuff like that. I think it's samba. Whatever. She had a flutist who was playing alto flute in there. It was beautiful. It was super nice, the alto flute in that setting.
Yeah, wind ensemble. He's meaning like concert band and wind ensemble.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen.
I've seen it a couple
concert band.
times.
Yeah, that's so
it's
cool.
more higher end written stuff. Like obviously, like
Because
level
not
4,
every
5,
high
6.
school has an alto.
No,
flute.
not all of
Has
them.
to be.
Yeah, I've heard it, and like I've played in ensembles that did have all of them. They had bass, alto,
Oh yeah.
all of them. Like it was more contemporary type of stuff, but like not contemporary, but
Yeah, a bit more
modern. And it's possible. I know there's wind ensembles, like I said, in Tokyo. Like there's big wind ensembles, like the most famous ones in Asia, and they have whole repertoires.
Oh, they're very good, huh?
Yeah,
I've
they're
seen
super good,
videos,
yeah.
It's crazy. Even little kids, they
They're
know
all super
everything
good.
by heart.
Yeah, sometimes
They
they all
get
play by
there,
memory. Yeah.
You look at the conductor, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's
Sometimes, yeah. It's pretty crazy. So there is a lot of literature, new literature. I know in a lot of music shops, they have good collaborations with all the publishers. So you can go there and get a catalog and see. And in those catalogs, it shows the piece and shows the instrumentation. So you could be like, oh, where is alto flute? Where is bass flute? You know, and different types of things. And you can find it through
so
those
if you want
catalogs.
to program that.
Yeah, exactly, and showcase those things. But
Good.
alto flute does sound good.
I'm sure.
In an ensemble, sounds pretty cool, especially as a solo instrument, like to show itself in specific parts, for sure. I think so. Let's see. Anything else? Do we have anything else here? Yeah, nothing else. If we missed your questions, please leave that question in the comment section, not in the live chat, but in the comment section, and we'll be sure to look at that question or those questions in the next time. But yeah, thank you so much to everybody who participated in the chat. We really love your questions, and thanks for supporting us through Super Chat and all the other ways that you've supported us as well too in the past. It's all helpful, and we're going to release a couple new videos and a new collaboration with an instrumentalist that everyone knows, a new violinist. That'll be coming out soon, and we'll see what else we're doing. We're going to hopefully release the book soon. We're working really hard on the intermediate flute book, and you'll have updates on that in the next couple of weeks. So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks everybody.
It's always
so
a lot of
much.
work to
Oh my
create
gosh.
something, you know? So
Oh yeah, it takes time.
we
and-
know when we start, we don't necessarily know when it's over.
Yeah. For long-time fans who followed us for a while for the past 5 years, they'll know how long the first book took. But it's worked out very well for us, thank goodness. And a lot of people have really, really liked it.
Yeah, I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, so thanks everybody again. And like I said, be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Also, drop us a like in this video and also subscribe to us also wherever you find your podcasts. Thanks everybody so much.
Thank you. Have a nice month.
Yeah, have a nice month, everybody. Happy practicing.